I think obviously, I felt bad for him because the immortalized shot of his banks off the rim, the one that they show every single March. And the only reason I think about it is because I see it when I turn on the TV. But, my memories of him as a player were, his growth, how far he came in a short amount of time, and how many big plays he made, to take us to really uncharted waters.
Welcome to Celtics Roundtable, powered by CLNS Media. I'm Jonathan Levy. Boy, oh boy, we've got a great show for you. Gordon Hayward has just joined the Boston Celtics. We just spent our last video talking about how he would fit on the team. Make sure you check that out if you haven't already. But now we're going to get into some really cool stuff, specifically what moves do the Celtics need to make to bring him on, and what moves should they make to get even better. I'm joined by Sam Sheehan, Celtics capologist, and CLNS godfather himself, Nick Gelso. Guys, it's an exciting time to be a Celtics fan for sure. Sam, you're the capologist. What's the first move the Celtics absolutely have to make to bring this great young player into the fold?
Okay, for the first thing has already been done, and that's renouncing Kelly Olynyk. We got that news a little bit after the thing was up. That's going to pull his cap hold off of the books, which, that was a sizable amount of change. So now the Celtics' three avenues are sort of a pick 'em. If you're assuming Isaiah Thomas is untouchable, like I and most of Celtics Nation, I assume, would say. The options are you can trade Jay Crowder, you can trade Marcus Smart, or you can trade Avery Bradley. And they are all, you can get a player back. Again, it's about $4.3 million is the magic number. So take, Crowder's $7 million, a little more. Or Bradley's 8.8, or whatever Marcus Smart is making, and you can take back a player who's making the difference in that, but you still need to get that 4.4 million. I've said on this program before, I've said it on Twitter a million times. I think Avery Bradley is the no-brainer option to be traded in this scenario because he is an unrestricted free agent. He will command the most money. He may be a little bit better of a player than Marcus Smart, particularly offensively. That is not as important with Gordon Hayward in the fold now. I'm not sure. He's a great on-ball defender individually. He's not as good of a switcher and not as flexible as a defender as Marcus Smart, which is now more important. And most importantly, Marcus Smart is a restricted free agent. And we have seen restricted free agency really chill out as this cap situation. The cap is flattening out. The prices are going down. All of these. We saw Kelly Olynyk had no market when he was a restricted free agent. And we're already seeing Woj tweeting that all of a sudden teams are flocking to him as an unrestricted free agent. That is going to really make Marcus Smart a cost-controlled asset going forward. So I think that is so important for the Celtics, a team that is suddenly going to be up against the tax like a lot of teams in the league. We're going to see the luxury tax starting this year and going on for the next 2 or 3 years with the cap only going up about $3 million a year. It's going to suddenly be a problem for a lot of teams, and the Celtics need to be wary of that. That's why Jay Crowder's got 3 to 2 more years, I think. I think it's 3, yep. Left on his deal, $7 million a year. And he also plays small forward versus Avery Bradley, who is an undersized shooting guard and really does his best when he's guarding other point guards. If you're going to have Isaiah Thomas on the team, a 5'7" point guard who needs to guard other point guards, that's something to be taken into consideration. Jay Crowder will be under contract. That $7 million will be so important to a luxury tax where you might end up paying $4 for every dollar you are over the tax if you hit a certain bucket. So, just by virtue of paying $13 million less could save you $50 million. So it's going to be very important. And I think that Avery Bradley, he also makes the most money, so you could take the biggest player back. So if you could find a way to, send out Avery Bradley and, get back some sort of a serviceable big or a draft pick, I also think that he would probably, besides maybe Crowder, command the best trade value. Like, teams love Avery Bradley. He's a valuable player.
Playoff run. He had a great playoff.
So I don't know. I think that so the options to review again, the Celtics can, trading Jay Crowder, which I think we're going to see some more casual Celtics fans suggest because, we've seen Bill Simmons talk about how much his dad hates Jay Crowder and everyone's convinced Jay Crowder is bad now. And even though he's been the Celtics plus-minus leader by a substantial margin last year. And and then Marcus Smart and Avery Bradley. Marcus is a bad shooter, and that's very present, and so people are gonna, want him gone. I think the most casual fans are not going to want to see Avery Bradley gone, but he just makes the most sense for all of the reasons that I just laid out.
And he deserves to get paid. Go get paid, Avery. You put in you paid your dues. Celtics fans, like you just said, casual and long-term, love the guy. I mean, he's a great kid. He's a good, quiet leader, and he's going to make a lot of money with another team, and he deserves to.
Exactly. So,
what do you guys think is a fair return for Avery? Because I agree, Avery seems like the guy you got to trade at this point. Jalen can play the two anyway. Marcus Smart's on the team. If you trade Avery, you get to keep Terry Rozier. You can do all you got a lot of maneuverability if you just trade Avery Bradley. So I think that's probably, I agree, the no-brainer move. What can you get back for him?
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough, for those tax reasons, because if you're getting Avery Bradley, you're essentially getting his bird rights. So, it might be important to a team who, maybe needs someone like that.
Nick, do you agree with this? You think like the 20th overall pick in a future draft is a reasonable return at this point?
Yeah, I mean, I would think that you'd be happy to get a pick in that situation. I mean, the emotional response is obviously Avery's worth more, but he's going to get paid, so he's going to a team that's got to pay him. Celtics are really trading a rental, really. So hope to get a draft pick back.
What do you think, Levy? You think that Avery Bradley is? You think they can get that young big that'll play for Bradley in return?
I really don't think they can get anything close to that. The whole league knows they have to trade him. This is the time you have no leverage at all, right? And the Celtics are willing to basically take back 2 second-rounders because they just got Gordon Hayward for free. So they're still upgrading their team anyway. They don't need a lot back. So I would be shocked if they could get a rotation big or even a young potential rotation big, at this point. I mean, I just don't think any team's going to be interested in giving away anything real for Avery Bradley, especially when, as Nick's saying, he's going to cost money next year. So either you need him just for this year, and then how many teams are that? Maybe the Spurs? It's hard to come up with anyone. Or you're looking to have him be on the team for the next several years, and you're going to have to pay through the nose anyway. I just don't know why anyone's going to give up a lot for him.
Think about this. The Celtics' best 3 players, Danny built really without – I mean, let's just face it. Isaiah Thomas they got for nothing, right? And then literally. Al, Al, a free agent. Gordon, a free agent. So much for free agents not wanting to come to Boston. So much for, the cliff jumping. I love Celtics fans, but, sports fans were nuts. So the nutty sports fans saying Danny Ainge doesn't know what he's doing because guess what? He knows more than all of us combined. He basically built this team by giving away nothing through free agency and building assets. I mean, we all know he loves draft picks. So if you want to trade – if people will offer him draft picks for Avery, he's going to take them. He's going to take what he can now.
Yeah. It's incredible to get players for free. It's also incredible to get meals delivered to your home for free, guys. And each week, HelloFresh creates delicious new recipes with step-by-step instructions designed to take around 30 minutes so that everyone from novices to seasoned home cooks short on time can make tasty meals. HelloFresh sources the freshest ingredients measured to the exact quantities needed so there's no food waste and employ 2 full-time registered dietitians on staff who review each recipe to ensure it is nutritionally balanced. They deliver food to your doorstep in a recyclable insulated box for free. It probably also does your dishes. I mean, who makes a recyclable insulated box? And now they're offering light spring meals and have just introduced breakfast options. Loyal listeners and viewers of CLNS Media gets a very special offer. Use the promo code BEAT30 for $30 off your first week of HelloFresh. Again, support the Celtics Roundtable and try HelloFresh for free. Simply visit HelloFresh.com and enter the promo code BEAT30. Now, back to the Roundtable. And coming back, guys, here's my next question. We've talked about what the Celtics have to do to sort of bring Hayward into the fold, sort of technically. But what moves can they make now to go from potential really tough out in the Eastern Conference Finals to scaring the living hell out of Cleveland or even beating Cleveland and being Golden State's, problem for the next 3 or 4 years? What do you got, Nick?
Go ahead, Sam. I saw you start.
Yeah, I think well, I mean, the Celtics, what they're going to have, they've already agreed to terms with Daniel Theis, who's going to be coming over to sort of help their big Theis. Sorry, yes, Daniel Theis, who was going to be helping their is going to be helping their big depth and as a stretch big who shot very well in Europe. We'll see how that holds up sort of going forward. We'll see what the trade move is, or if the Celtics just, call their young guys, and see if maybe they get a big back there. But I think that fleshing out the big depth is going to be important, because the Celtics are going to need someone who can play, and it might be tough for them to get that with the only way that they can do it now is they have what's known as the room mid-level exception available to them. That's about $4.5 million that they're going to be able to use to these free agents. But this is what a lot of other teams have, like teams over the cap. This is the problem with signing teams with cap space, is you can't use the full mid-level exception until next year, which is very big. It's about $8 million. This year, Celtics are stuck with the room mid-level exception, so they won't be able to outbid these other teams that stayed over the cap and re-signed their own guys. Maybe those with the taxpayer mid-level, the Celtics will be in about the same boat as, but the room mid-level exception is smaller, so it'll be tough for the Celtics. Now, on the other hand, I think they will suddenly, like Cleveland and the Warriors, be players in the buyout market. So you don't have to finish making your team in, August. The Celtics will be able to get whoever is coming off deals. I think they should be able to sign someone pretty good at that point. But you have to think that the depth has to be what the Celtics are thinking about right now. And I think that's a great spot to be in, because guess what? The center market is oversaturated. Centers are so cheap right now. Those center contracts are getting passed around like the ditchy on the left-hand side. No one wants any part of the, that Miles Plumlee contract or any of this. We're seeing Dwight Howard get moved around. We're seeing, Roy Hibbert got passed around a million times. These guys are out there, and the Celtics might be in a situation later this year where they, can pick up a big man who's, getting waived or cut or stretched out of all of his things to sort of help them with that big step. So Celtics are in a great position that way, that the position they really need help at is the one that is the deepest and currently most saturated in the league.
The other thing, too, is the Celtics are back now in an area where free agents, players like Sam just said that are getting cut, and also players willing to take trades are now willing to come, maybe not the trade part, but, free agents and vet minimum type guys are willing to come to the Celtics for less money because they have potential to kind of round out the pieces to make a contending team. The Celtics are on the cusp of that again. That's how it was in 07 through 11. Players made sacrifices financially to come and play for something special. And I think the Celtics now have that reputation, have really for 2 years, that what's going on with Danny Ainge and Brad Stevens and Isaiah, there's something special there. And now, what better storybook than Gordon Hayward returning to play with the coach to finish what he started, as he put in his own words?
That is an awesome thing to think about for sure. But I got to tell you guys, I feel like you're not thinking big enough.
Oh boy.
I'm thinking about, all right, Paul George no longer available, at least for a while. But
I think I know where you're going.
I know where he's going.
Of course, I always go to the same place. First of all, every season, a surprise player or two becomes available. A surprise star seems to become available and possibly moved. We've seen that for the last several years. It won't surprise me at all if we see that again, especially out west, where some of these superstars may start to get a little frustrated with their 46-win teams and no path at all to the finals. But there's a few guys out there. What'd you say?
To even the playoffs. 46-win teams don't make the playoffs in the West.
Good point. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
I mean, but I'm looking at a few guys right now. I mean, look, Boogie Cousins continues to be on both of my shoulders.
Boogie.
Knew that's where you were going.
Not just the center we need, it's the center we deserve, guys. They're going to move him in February. Mark my words. They're going to leave there.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't disagree.
But here's another guy who's out there. I know we've got some cap issues to make this work, but the Caps are looking to deal Kevin Love, probably to try and bring Carmelo Anthony. And they need a third team with the kinds of assets the Knicks would want. Well, guess who has the kinds of assets the Knicks would want? A young team looking for young assets. That's the Celtics.
I would say I would say, to sort of walk back some of the stuff I said at the top of the show. If that is where your head is at, and you're someone who is looking to add another deadline star, it might make sense to hold on to Avery Bradley in that situation, because the Celtics are going to need that salary to move around if you want to bring home a guy who's making a pretty substantial amount. The Celtics are at a point where they just all the salary is being used. That's another reason I think we're almost definitely going to see them use that full room mid-level exception just to add $4 million of workable salary to move around in trades just in case, just to be prepared, because at this point, the Celtics figure to be over the cap for the foreseeable future. So I think bringing that in would be a good idea. But if that is where your head is at, that would be a good counter argument to my firm stance that Avery Bradley is the shoe-in.
But in that case, you're moving Jay, correct? You'd probably be Jay or Morris. And I'll tell you,
or Isaiah.
Well, that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
But Jay, I know the analytics say otherwise, but I think Jay, from an observational standpoint, has kind of taken steps back in intensity in the past year, and some of his defensive and in some of his attitude, to be honest with you. I'm waiting tonight to see the Caps come out on Twitter. It's only a matter of time before he starts screaming at everybody on Twitter or liking tweets or just, I'm okay if Jay goes and they hold on to Avery if it's going to flip into, can't believe I'm saying it, but a Boogie Cousins or a Kevin Love,
I do think Jay right now is the starting 4 on this team, is my guess. Maybe they're going to start Zizic and bring Jay off the bench, but Jay's going to play the majority of – he's going to play at 33 minutes a game like he's been playing anyway, even on the way this squad is currently configured. Right. I personally love Jay. I want Jay to stick around. I love that deal too. I know Sam's got to love that contract. Yeah. But man, it feels like there's almost no way this could go wrong. And for all the years upon years of people critiquing Danny Ainge, saying he doesn't have the balls to make this deal, he's too scared, he's this, he's that. Look who's coming out on top once again, keeping all his assets and improving the number 1 seed in the East, significantly improving, adding a top 20 player in the league who's just entering his prime. It's an extraordinary thing they've done once again. All credit to Danny Ainge.
It is Red Auerbach-esque. And he continues to grow the legend, of Danny Ainge. And I've read smiling down because he's doing good things for the franchise. I can't wait till opening night, fellas. Yeah. But now I got Summer League. I got to go out to Vegas this week. Oh,
hell yeah. It's going to be a good one.
With that, we're going to wrap up this edition of Celtics Roundtable. Thanks to Sam Sheehan, the godfather himself, Nick Gelso of CLNS, and I'm Jonathan Levy. If you like this show, definitely subscribe. Give us a like as well. We're at CLNS Roundtable on Twitter. If you're listening to us on our podcast, head on over to iTunes. Give us a 5-star review. We won't tell anyone. It'll be fine. And we'll see you next time on the Roundtable.